Good afternoon. My name is Thijs, and for the next hour or so, I will be hosting this class on how to get started with economic. First off, we're gonna take a quick look on the today's agenda. Um, who am I? My name is, as I said, Thijs. I work in the support here at Visma Economic. So if you have any type of issues or complications with the system and you need help from us, you might get a hold of me on either the chat support or our phone. Today, as I told you, we're gonna see how to get started with economic. First off, we're gonna take a look on our four-step start guide. When we have finished our start guide and got into the system, we're gonna take a look at the settings. Next up, we're gonna create our first invoice. In this invoice, we're gonna create customers and products, of course. When we have checked out our sales tab, we're gonna go to our accounting tab, where we're gonna see on how to create journal entries, what we're gonna do when a customer pays for the invoice that we've sent them in form of a customer payment. Next up, we're gonna take a look at some of the reports in our system. I've handpicked three reports that I think makes a lot of sense in regards to what else we have been through during this class. At least, last but not least, we're gonna take a look on all the support opportunities. This is in regards to how you're gonna get in contact with us, either through the phone or our chat support, or what you can do if our chat and phone support is closed, and so how you can get smarter, so how you can help yourself. First off, we're going to get started through our web page. So I'm going to economic.dk, and in order to get this 14-day free trial, I'll press the button right here. It says in Danish, prøv gratis, which translates to try for free. So I press this button, and the first thing I have to do is fill out these three spaces. So this is my first and last name. My name is Thijs. My last name is Richter. My phone number is 8840. Oh, sorry, 8820 4840. And I'll put in my email, which is todayinfoeconomic.dk. If you have any questions for us on email, you can always email on us on this email account. I'll put in a check mark in this field right here that I have read and accepted the terms and the GDPR. um, so I have, of course, done like every other famous TV chef, and I've cheated a bit. So I've actually already pressed this orange button. What happens when you press it is that you get an email sent to your account right here with your login informations, which makes it important that you have access to the email that you put in this space right here. So after I press the orange button, my screen will actually look like this. So this is our economic account. And as I mentioned before, we have four steps, so four starting steps before we can actually get um, on with our accounting. So per default, the system is in Danish, sorry, and the first four steps we're gonna complete in Danish before we can be allowed to change the language to English. So I'm gonna do a rough translation. It says here, "Welcome to Economic," and we have to follow these next four steps in order to get our economic account ready. I will press the blue button. It says get started. So when I do that, the first step of these four starting steps is to fill in my company's master information. The first field right here is our CVR number. So if your company has a CVR number, you will put it in this space right here. So in my company, we don't have a CVR number just yet. We are a brand new company, but because there's not a little star in this field, it's not you can choose yourself rather if you want to fill it out or leave it blank. My contact person is, of course, myself, my company name. Today it is Theis's Art Dealer, and it is that because I have a hidden passion for art. Of course, we have our email address, which is my email address. My address is Gertol number one, which is in Copenhagen, like this. So, do you have a web page? You can choose to put in the link in this box right here. So, if I press the blue button, this means next. So, I'll go to the next step in the starting guide. In my opinion, this is actually one of the more important steps in the start guide because this is where you get a setup that is pre-set up for you. So if I choose an account plan from one of these seven, I will get an account plan. I would get VAT codes. So I wouldn't have to create all these myself. So there's a lot of things that will be set up for you automatically if you choose one of these seven account plans. So I'm gonna choose the first one. This is a one-man company with payment. So I'll press the blue button, next. This is going to be where we put in our accounting year. And as we can see, we have three opportunities. First off, we can use the current calendar year. This means the 1st of January until the 31st of December 2023. If you would like to have a crooked accounting year, you can also choose the second opportunity, second option, which is where you start half through the year and end half through the next years, meaning 1st of July until the 30th of June 2024. The last option right here, you can choose your accounting year manually. I will choose the first option using the current calendar year. And I press the blue button again, next. So this is the last of the four steps in our starting our economic account. This is where we put in our bank information. So my bank is called Danske Bank. I have a registration number right there and an account number right here. If I have a SWIFT and an IBAN number, I can always put them in these two boxes. I do not have that yet, so I will leave those blank and press next. This was the last of the four steps, so I will press the blue button, Start Economic. When I do that, I can actually start my economic account. Now I've done the first four steps of the starting your account. Next up, I will have to make sure that I have an invoice that is in English. Because as I told you, by default, the system is set up in Danish. So before we get started, I will have to check all the settings are done correctly in English before I get started. For example, creating invoices, and all of a sudden, all these invoices are in Danish. But before we make it that far, of course, we have to change the language of our account to English. In order to do that, I press the orange wheel right here, and then I choose Mine indstillinger, which is translated to my settings. So I press my settings, then I'll press the little pen on the right of the line, and I'll press the blue button, that says Open Visma Connect, meaning Open Visma Connect. When I press this, a new tab will open, and in here, if I press the pen in the top right corner, I can now have the opportunity to change the language, meaning sprog, meaning language, from Danish to English. When I've changed the language to English, I'll press the green button, meaning save. Then I will not change for this tab. Actually, I'll just press back, and then I will close this tab. And I will just find the account again. Sorry for the little misdemeanor. So now you can see that all the buttons are actually in English. Before it was all in Danish. So as I told you, first off, we're going to secure that we have an English invoice layout for when we're going to get started during our invoices. So in order to get an English invoice layout, I will press the Sales tab and go to Design and Layout. In here, I will press the gray button Other Options and choose Standard Template Collections. When I do that, I have the opportunity to choose either a Danish layout, an English layout, or a German layout. And of course, I want to have the English layout, so I will press the I'll press the icon to the right that says copy. When I do that, I'll press OK. And now I can actually see that I have an English layout for all my invoices and quotes and orders. So now I have to make sure that our units are also in English, because when we chose the account plan from earlier, we also have some standard units, but these are in Danish. This one meaning styk and the last one meaning hours. So for me, in order to create a couple new units in English, I'll press the blue button, new unit, and in the name, I will translate the two that we already got. So this one is going to be called pieces, and I'll press the blue button, save and new, because I also have the second one, the hours. So in here, I'll write, sorry, hours like this. So these are the two units that I would like to create. So from here on, I'm not pressing the blue button. I'm pressing the gray button named Save. So now I can actually see that I have created two new units. This one is pieces and the other one is hours. So now I can actually do an English invoice with English units. Now, in order for me to make sure that all my customers get the English invoice layout and the English units, I'll go to Customer Setup. In here, I can make some default settings. So every time I create a new invoice, I'm sure that the layout that is chosen for the invoice is in English. So I'll start out by choosing what customer group that needs to have these settings. I only have one, so I'll choose this one. If I go further down on the page, I can now choose that the layout should always be the English one. This is called ENG. So now I actually made sure that all the customers from this customer group gets the invoice layout that is in English. So when I've done the settings from here, I can press the blue button named Save. So I'm just going to save these settings. If I go back to the home page, because this was actually how to make sure that you have a English invoice layout, we have um, we have changed the language of the whole system. from Danish to English, and we've created 2 units that we can use on our invoices. Before we get started on our sales tab, there is a few settings that are really good to just get out of the way before we get started on doing, for example, our invoices. So in order for me to check or change these settings, I will press the orange wheel right here and choose all settings. When I do that, the first thing I'm going to see is our master information, which of course is the one we filled out as in the first step of the start guide. In here, I can do a bit of settings. So let's say, for example, that my accountant is also an administrator in economic. I can actually make sure that my accountant or the administrator can get access to my economic account. So I press administrators, and in the right side, I have a bar where I can search for my accountant's administrator number. In my case, my accountant's number is called 1494 855. So I'll press that in here and press the little search button. So this is actually my accountant. If I want to if I want to make sure that my accountant has the opportunity to see and enter my economic account, I can always press, there's a little person right here with a little check mark when the account is still not at demo. So actually, if I just go to the home page, I can upgrade my trial period um, at the beginning. So if I press the blue button, upgrade trial, I can see these 4 kinds of subscription packages that we have. We have our basis, our plus, smart, and advanced. The way that you choose what subscription that suits you and your company, you take a look on all the functions that you can see in the bottom right here. So, of course, the more expensive subscription has a lot of different functions, going from the basis one that has the least functions. In my case, I will select the smart plan. So I press select and press upgrade. Now I've actually upgraded my account and I'm sent back to the all settings. So if I press administrators again, now I can see I have the little person with the check mark. So if I press this one, I'm giving access to my accountant. So my accountant can have access to our economic account. So I press OK. Now in the top of the screen, I can see that my administrator has the access to enter my economic account. If I go a bit further down the menu on the left, I have the one called categories and units. So if I press this one, I want to change the number series, because let's say that I come from a different ERP system, and in that system I've already made invoice from 1 till 997. This means that my next invoice has to have the number 998. It could also be just like me, that I do not want all my new customers to see that this is my first invoice. So because of that, I'm going to change the invoice number, and I'm doing that by pressing the pen on the right that says edit, and in the next numbers series, I'll put in number 10,000. This means that the next time I'm doing an invoice, it's going to get the number 10,000. From here, I press save. So these are some really good things just to have in mind before you get started. So let's always make sure to take a look at the settings before we get started. So this was from all for me in the settings menu. So if I go back to the home menu, from here, now we're going to take a look at our sales tab. And in the sales tab, we're going to create new customers. we're going to create new products. And in the end, we're going to create a new invoice. And of course, we're going to see how we're going to do a credit note. So first off, let's start by pressing the Sales tab. When I press my Sales tab, the first thing that is going to meet me is the current invoices. So let's say I'm creating an invoice, but then I have a meeting that I have to go to, and I have not yet booked and sent this invoice, so I just press back. Then I will always be able to find the invoice right here in my current invoices. If we go a bit down the menu on the left, we get to customers. This is our customer page. So this is the place where we can see all our different customers. This is also the place that we can create new customers by pressing the blue button. It is also the place where we can import our customer clientele. So let's say we already have a long list of customers, we can always import it into your economic. So you don't have to sit manually and create each one of them. If I go a bit down, further down the menu on the left, I get to products. In here, you can see all your products. As we can see, it reminds me a lot of what we saw in customers, but this is all of our products. In here, we can see all our products. We can create new products by pressing the blue button. And of course, as with the customers, we can import our product list. So if we do already have a list of products, we can always import it right in our product list. So as I told in today's agenda, this is in the Sales tab that we are going to create our first invoice. So I press Invoices right in top of the menu on the left. From here, I'll press the blue button that says New Invoice. I know that we haven't created customers or products yet, but there is actually a different way of creating products and customers, and that is while we are creating the invoice. This is the flow that I want to show you today. So I press the blue button, no, New Invoice, and the first thing I have to do is choose a customer. And as I said, we had no customers, meaning, uh, and that's the reason why it says zero found items found out of zero items in total. In order to create a new customer, I will press the blue button right here. So the first thing I'm going to do for this customer is that I will choose a number for the customer. This customer is my first, and of course, this is going to be number one. In the group, I will have to choose a group or customer group for this customer. Let's say that you have maybe you have foreign customers, so you have a group of Danish customers, you have a group of English customers, and you have a group of Icelandic customers. So a really good thing in the whole structure wise is that you can create these customer groups and then structure your customers into three different groups. So the next box is the co-rec number box. So if my customer is a company and they also have a CVR number, so meaning I have a B2B client, I can fill in my customer's CVR number in the box right here. And if I press the tab button on my keyboard, it will automatically fill out all the information on this customer. So this means that I do not have to sit and find all the information on this customer. If I just put in the CVR number, it all automatically gets filled out. From here, I'm gonna press the blue button, save and apply. So now I've actually created my first customer and chosen that this customer is gonna be the first customer that we're gonna send an invoice to. Next up is creating our products. So I press new invoice line. And if I had already made a few products, I could always search on either the name or the product number. But because we haven't created any products just yet, we have to press the button with the 3 lines. This is search in list, meaning that you actually search behind this field of product numbers. So when I press it, I will see exactly the same I did with the customers. This is just with products. So we're going to create a new product. So this product is of course going to be named product number 1. The product group, I know that I've actually do have 4 product groups already. This is from our standard setup. So when we chose the account plan. So if I press search on list again, I have 4 different. This is products with mums, products without VAT, and then we have ydelser that translates to services. So I can either choose products with or without VAT or services with or without VAT. In my first product, it is going to be a product with VAT. So as we, of course, is an art dealer, we are going to sell a bit of art. So the first product is called Mona Lisa. I have a sales price on 10,000 Danish kroners and a cost price on 5,000 Danish kroners. Of course, I can already now choose the unit that we've created just before, and I will take pieces because this is one piece of art. Next up, I'm going to press the blue button, save and apply. When I do that, I can press the gray button, save, or if I want to add another product, I can press save and new. And in my case, I'll press save and new because, of course, when you buy such a nice painting, you're going to have to use a professional to come hang it on your wall. So I'm going to press the button with the 3 lines again, search in list, and I'm going to create a new product. This one is called product number 2. The product group is for this time, it's no longer a product, it's actually a service. So I'm going to choose services with VAT. The name is called wall hang right here. So, and the sales price is 500 Danish kroner and the cost price is 250. This is now by the hour. So this is a service where a professional guy or girl comes to the client's office and hangs up the painting that they've just bought. So I'm going to press save and apply. Now, this is a Mona Lisa, which is, as you know it, a very famous piece of art. So, of course, it's not just going to take 1 hour, it's actually going to take 3 hours to hang this painting on the wall. So I press in 3 in the box quantity. Next up, I'm gonna press save because now I do not have any more products to add to this invoice. I already have my Mona Lisa painting and our service of hanging it on the wall. If I just want to take a look at how the invoice is looking before I send it and book it, I can always press this button, show invoice. When I do that, and a PDF file is going to open up and I can now see my invoice. So I can see that the invoice is in English. And up here, I can see my company name. I can see a bit of information on the client. I can see my products and services. And in the bottom, I can see the total price and of course, where to pay them. I just press cancel on this one. And now the only thing to do is to book and send the invoice. So I press book and send invoice. And from here, I'll check that the receiver is the right email and then press the blue button, book and send. So now I've actually sent my first invoice. as I can see, because we booked and sent it, I can no longer see it in our current invoices. This was actually how you created customers, products and services, and of course an invoice. We've also booked and sent this invoice to our customer. As you know, I'm actually sitting at the customer's office, and I just talked with the expert from e-conomic, and she told me that they were actually gonna need two paintings instead of one. This means that I have to create a new invoice. This time I will have to sell them two products and 6 hours of service. But because I have already created the first invoice with one product and 3 hours of service, I cannot create a new one. So I have to make a credit note taking the original invoice back. In order to create a new credit note, I will stay in current invoices, and this time I will press the gray button, New Credit Note. When I do that, I will put in the invoice number, and as you all can remember, we actually changed the invoice number from 1 until to number 10,000. So if I put in 10,000, I will choose the invoice from here and press the blue button, Create Credit Note. This picture is in many ways very similar to the picture that we saw just before. The big difference right now is that the total amount is now in a negative amount, meaning that there's a negative symbol in front of the amount, meaning, of course, that we take the invoice back. This is the case with our products as well. If we see on the quantity, we can now see that there's -1 painting and -3 hours of services. So I will book and send this credit note. When I do that, the case was that I was to create a new invoice with two paintings and 6 hours of services. In my case, I do not want to sit and create the exact same invoice once again, so I would much rather take a copy of the previous invoice. So I will go to archive, and in my case, I haven't really made that many invoices, so I do not have to fill in any of these boxes. So I'll just press OK. Now I can see number 10,000, that was the invoice. So I would love to take a copy of this one, and I'll press the middle button right here that says copy. When I do that, I choose to copy it as an invoice. And now it's the exact same picture as we saw just before we made the credit note. This time we have to change the amount of paintings, and we do that by pressing the little pen just on the right of the invoice line. When I press edit, I can now change the quantity from 1 to 2. When I do that, I press save. And as I told you, now they're buying two paintings. So of course they're gonna have 6 hours of services. And I press the little pen again. And instead of 3, I press in 6. So from here on, I press the blue button, save. Now I can see that the total amount is a bit larger than before. I can see that the quantity of the paintings are double the amount from last time, and it's the same case with the service of hanging it on the wall. So from here on, I'm gonna book and send the invoice once again. Now I've booked and sent my brand new invoice on 28,750 Danish kroners. A really good way to create an overlook on your customers and how much they owe you, or if they don't owe you anything, you can go to customers right here in the menu on the left. Here you can see they owe you 28,750 kroner. This was actually it for me in the sales. sales tab before we go to our accounting tab and see what we're going to do when our customer then pays the invoice, or if we have an invoice from a supplier. We just going to take a little 1 minute break. So let's continue. Now we're going to see what we can do in our accounting tab. So I will press the accounting. And if I check out the menu on the left, I can see my journals. And I usually translate journals to a bit of a sandbox. So this is where you can create new journals, new entry journals, and so on. And while it is still in your journals, you can edit it, you can delete it, you can create new ones, and so on. So this is kind of like a sandbox of journals. So in our accounting tab, we are gonna see what we're gonna do when our customer pays the invoice that we've just sent them. As of course, it is a natural thing to have expenses as well in a company. We're gonna see how to register when we get an invoice from a supplier and when we pay the invoice to the supplier. So first off, in order to create a new entry, I'm gonna press the blue button, new entry. When I do that, I have the possibility of choosing these 5 different types of entries. So the first one is called a journal entry. This is kind of like an umbrella entry type. So meaning that this we typically see people using this type of journal um, when registering expenses in form of a, let's say, a phone bill. It could be that our salesman bought lunch at the gas station. We could use a journal entry to book that one. If we go one down, we see the supplier invoice. We will always use this one when we get an invoice from a supplier. When we do that, we have to register it in our system, in our accounting. Next up, we have the supplier payment. So when we are paying this invoice that we just received from the supplier, we're going to use the supplier payment to register and tell the system that now we've actually paid the invoice that we've just registered. Next up, we have customer payment. So when now, in our case, we've sent an invoice to our customer. When the customer then pays the invoice, we're going to use the customer payment to register that the customer has actually paid the invoice that we have sent them. The last one is called manual invoice, customer invoices. Not often do we see people using this one. Typically, we use it if we have to register historically sales invoices. So let's say that you come from a different ERP system, and in this case, you have already created some invoices, and these invoices you would love to have transferred from your old ERP system to your new one. Then you would typically use the manual customer invoices to create them in your accounting. In my case, I have just received a bill from my phone company. So I'm going to choose the journal entry to book my phone bill. So I'll make sure that I choose the right type of journal. I will make sure that the entry number is correct together with the date. And in the account number, I know that I'm going to pay a phone bill. So it could make sense that I would have an account in my account plan that has something to do with phone. So if I want to have a quick overview on all my accounts in the account plan, I can press the button here with the three list, and now I can actually see all the 162 different accounts that I have in my account plan. If I do not want to sit and try and find the one account that has something to do with telephone, I can always use the search box right here. So if I write in telephone, I have an account called 3620 that that's called telephone. So of course, this is the account that I'm going to choose when I want to book my payment of our telephone bill. So the amount is the amount of money that the telephone bill cost me. And in my case, it is 550 kroner. The contra account, I'm going to ask myself, where does the money come from? And in this case, it comes from my bank account. So if I do not want the overlook, I can always search in the field. So if I press in bank, I have my bank account on 5820. So I'm going to choose in the contra account my bank. In the text, I'll put in a text that is completely personal to myself in order for me to remember what exactly eh, does this journal regards to. So this one I'm gonna call it phone bill like this. So this is actually how I create my first journal entry in form of a phone bill that I've just received from my phone company. Next up, I'm gonna press save and new because not only am I an amazing painter, I am also oh, I'm sorry, I've just received an invoice on all the paint that I've used and all the materials that I've used to paint these two Mona Lisas. And this invoice I got from my supplier, I have to register in my accounting. So I'll choose the supplier invoice for this one. I can see now that the boxes changes a bit. Of course, we're gonna see the meaning behind all of them. So as I did before, I'll make sure that the entry number and the date is correct. The invoice number, if you remember that when we send an invoice to our customer, the invoice number was called number 10,000. It is the completely same thing when we receive an invoice. Of course, there's also going to be an invoice number on that one. And this is the number that we're going to press in on invoice number. In my case, the invoice number is called 123. The supplier number. So as we saw from creating a customer, we gave that one a customer number, and it is the exact same thing with the suppliers. And now you might ask yourself, but Thijs, we have not yet created any suppliers, and that is completely true. Which is why we once again are going to press the button with the three lines, search in list. When we do that, we press the blue button, new supplier, because of course we haven't created anyone yet. So I'm going to press the blue button, new supplier. From here, I'm going to choose a supplier number. This is supplier number one. The group is again supplier group number one. This is because we haven't created any other groups. So of course we are gonna choose product number one, or sorry, group number one. For the CVR number, so once again, we have the exact same opportunity from when we did the customer. We now have the opportunity to put in our supplier's CVR number. And I'm just going to do a quick Google search on my supplier's CVR number in order to put it in and get all the boxes filled out automatically. Right here. So when I put in the account number or the CVR number, sorry, I can press the tab button on my keyboard, and all the informations on our supplier gets automatically filled out. So from here, I'm going to press the blue button, save and apply. When I do that, I can see now that the supplier number gets filled out with number 1. The next up, I'm going to say how much money does this invoice cost me. And in my case, it cost me 5,000 kroners. So next up is the contra account in here. And we would love to book this one in a cost account. So I'm going to choose, I'm going to search in here. Costs in Danish is called omkostninger. And for this invoice, I will use the account 1310, meaning direct costs with VAT. So I'll choose the contra account number 1310. In the text, I will put in a text so I will know exactly what does this journal means. So in this one, it means I'll call it supplier invoice so I can remember just what this is about. From here on, I'm going to press save and new because not only am I a great painter, I am also a great payer. And I'm actually going to register my supplier payment right now. So I've actually already paid my supplier invoice. And in order to register that in my accounting, I choose the supplier payment, the third possibility right here. So I'm going to make sure that the entry number and date is correct again. And in the invoice number, I know that the invoice that I'm paying right now is called 123 122 23. And when I put in the number, I can see that automatically the supplier number and the amount gets filled out. In the contra account, because we have payment right now, I can ask myself, where is the money going to come from? And of course, once again, it's going to come from my bank. So I'll put in 5820, which is my bank account. In the text, once again, I'm going to put in something that reminds me of what exactly is this journal about. So this, of course, is called supplier payment, like this. From here on, I'm going to press save and new because when I was just looking at my bank account and paying the supplier invoice, I actually saw that my customer had also paid for their invoice that I've sent them. So I'm going to choose customer payment. Once again, I'm going to make sure that the entry number and date is correct. And now I can actually put in the invoice number from my invoice, which was 10,002. So when I press the tab button on my keyboard, I can see that the customer number and the amount automatically gets filled out. Now, again, it is a payment, but this time the money goes into my account and I'm going to ask myself, what account does it come into? And it comes into my bank, of course. So I'm going to choose 5820. When I choose that one, I'll put in the text saying customer payment and press the save button. So now I've created the first 4 journals in my journal called Daglig. The blue one right here is the journal entry, which was my phone bill. The second one, the orange one with the paper, is the supplier invoice. The third one, the orange one with the small coins, is our supplier payment. And last but not least, the green one is the customer payment. So now I will have to book these 4 entries. So I press check in the top box on the left. And when I do that, I press book entries. And now I can actually see that all the entries disappears from my journals. And as I said, it functions a bit like a sandbox just until you book all your entries. So if I actually go back to sales, and to customers, I can now see that the customer's balance is once again zero because I've said that this customer has paid the invoice that I have sent them. If I just go back to accounting, now that we can see that all the entries disappeared, if we are in a situation where we want to see some of our booked and old entries, we can also always press Find Entries. When I do that and press OK, I can get an overview on all the entries that I've created together with the invoices and the credit notes. So in Find Entries, this is a very good spot just to get an overview on everything that you've created in Economic. This was actually it for our accounting tab. We've seen how to create these different types of entries. We created a journal entry. We created a supplier invoice. We set to the system that we paid this invoice with a supplier payment. And last but not least, we told the system that now the customer has paid their invoice. Just before we pass on to our reports, I'm just going to take a bit of water and a 30-second break. So let's continue. So of course, now we're going to take a look at our report tab. The big difference in this tab contra the other tabs is that in the reports, you can actually not create anything. This means that this tab is only for looking and analyzing. As I told you in today's agenda, I've chosen three different reports that I find good for today, especially in regards to all that we've been through during the class. And the first one I brought is the period total. So first off, I'm gonna put in my accounting year. It can be, or it was 1st of January 23 until the 31st of December 2023. Of course, you can always choose your own date interval. Um, so you press in the 1st of 1st, 23 until the 31st of December 2023. When I do this and press OK, I can get an overlook on all the accounts in my accounting, my plan of accounts. From here, I can actually see exactly what is the amount on, let's take account number 1010. So this is our account of sales. So all the sales with VAT is booked on this account number 1010. And let's say that I'm curious about why is it 23,000. I can always press the number, and now I can actually see what exactly makes the number 23,000. And first off, we have our first invoice on 11,500. This one, we actually made a credit note taking it back to zero, and then we created a new invoice on giving us a number in our sales on 23,000. It's exactly the same with our cost. So now we can see direct costs. This is 1310. We used our supplier invoice to book on exactly this account. So if I press the number 4,000, I can see exactly why is it 4,000. So this is a great way to get an overlook on all your accounts that has a balance on it. So I can see exactly what goes on in the different accounts. And to all of you wondering why it says 23,000 and not 28,750, it is because the VAT is moved until 9602, which is our sales VAT on 5,750 kroner. This one, together with the 23,000, is 28,750, which was the total amount on our invoice. If we go down a bit further in the ladder here in the menu on the left, we get to our turnover statistics. I think that this report is quite interesting because you can actually get a great view on all your sales and, of course, your turnover. So we have three options here. We have either to draw the report based on customers, based on products, or if we have, let's say, salesmen's or sale women's, we can choose the employees and see exactly how much have a salesman turned over on invoices. In my case, I will start on the customer. When I press OK, I can see all of my customers right here. In my case, I only have one customer, but if I take a look on the right side of the line, I can see that we have turned over 23,000 kroner on exactly this customer. We have had costs for 11,500 kroner, meaning that we have a gross profit on 11,500 kroners. That translates to 50%. So this is a great way to see exactly how much turnover and how much profit have you made on your different customers. If we press the two arrows right here and change the based on products from customers to products and press OK, I can see exactly the turnover on each of my different products. So I can see that I've turned over 20,000 kroners by selling two Mona Lisa paintings. I've had costs on 10,000 kroners, making my profit 10,000 translated to 50%. And in the case with our service, the wall hang, we have sold 6 hours of wall hanging service, making a turnover on 3,000 with a profit on 1,500, translated to 50%. So the turnover statistics is a great report to get overlook and analyze your turnover and your profit. As you might know, as company owners or business people, you have probably stopped upon our VAT. In economic, we have the VAT statement, and I'm not gonna go totally in detail with this report. I will just show it to for you guys to see, because it is in Denmark something that we cannot pass on. So I choose to see the year of 2023 and the period of the whole year. So when I press OK, I can see my exact VAT. So in sales VAT, sales VAT, I got the 5,750 kroners, and that this VAT, this amount comes from my invoice that I've sent to my customer. I also have my purchase VAT on 1,110 kroners. And I know that, as we saw in the period total, that our cost from our supplier invoice was 4,000 kroners. But if I wonder where the 110 kroners comes from, I can always press the number and then see exactly where does this amount come from. And now I can see, oh yeah, of course, our phone bill was also an entry with VAT, meaning that this is also a purchase VAT. This picture looks exactly the same as the one you see in SCAT. Um, but the thing is that you cannot you cannot report your VAT in SCAT through economic. You can only check if the things align with each other. So this was actually everything from our reports. We have taken a little look on our period total. We've looked on our turnover statistics, and last but not least, we have taken a look on our VAT statement. If I go back to our homepage, I would love to say that if you ever are in need of support from us, you can always press the green button right here. This is a direct way to open our chat support. If you want to get a hold on us through the phone, you can always call us from 9 till 3. Um, Monday to Thursday, and from 9 to 2:30 on Fridays. Our phone number is 8820 4840. If in case you're sitting on the weekends and you have an issue or you have questions, you can always press the green button with the white book. This is our Ecopedia. And in here, you can write in, let's say I've forgotten how to create a credit note. I can always search here, credit note from an invoice, and I can see tons of different guides and articles that describes exactly how you can create a credit note through a booked invoice. If you are using either Firefox or Google Chrome, I know that you can get the web browser to translate the whole page for you. This was actually it for me. I would wish you a lovely day. Thank you so much. Bye.